Okay, we should be good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, we are live. No one's watching just yet. All right, I'll leave this here for now. All right, well, we'll just take a second before we get started talking. I am realizing that I'm actually looking over there. That's okay. Oh, this thing's gonna pop up. We got a couple people watching. Good morning. Happy Giving Tuesday. We're here live at the Atlanta Community Food Bank in our Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen. We're so excited to be able to come to you live today of all days. It's a very special day in Georgia and across the U.S. We have all done our Black Friday shopping. We have done our online shopping over the weekend. And today is a day that we get the opportunity to give back collectively to the nonprofits that are serving our communities. So today we are happy to share that our friends over at Metaltix are going to be matching all donations up to $50,000. So any donation that you make will be doubled by our friends at Metaltix. So usually $1 equals 4 meals for our community, but today your $1 is going to be able to serve 8 meals to our community members thanks to Metaltix. So we're going to drop the donation link in the chat box at some point during the live, and then we'll also show it on the screen at the end. You can also go straight to the food bank's website at www.acfb.org, and it's going to pop up the first thing that you see. So we hope that you will take a moment to consider donating to us so we can continue to keep serving our communities at the capacity that we have been. Okay, let's get started. So first off, we may all still have a little bit of Thanksgiving leftovers in our refrigerators. And the one thing I know I still have is dressing. So depending on where you're from and how you prepare it, you might call it stuffing or you might call it dressing. For me, it's dressing because we never stuffed it inside of the turkey. So what I'm going to show you today is how you can use your leftover dressing. This is my dressing. And then I'm also going to show you how you can use any bits of leftovers from your cranberry sauce. So I will say that my favorite dish at Thanksgiving is the dressing because it's not something that you generally eat, or I will say for me, throughout the year. I only eat it at holidays. So when there's leftovers, I want to make sure that I get as much out of it as possible. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways you can use your leftover dressing using the exact same base recipe. So our base recipe is 1 cup of leftover dressing or stuffing to 1 egg. So if you've got 2 cups, you're going to use 2 eggs and so forth. This is going to make this really great mix. And our mix that we're going to make some small fritters that look like hush puppies, and they kind of have the texture of hush puppies. We're going to serve those with some sweet and sour sauce made with our canned cranberry. I'm going to show you how to make that. You can also use this mix to make patties, so like more of a round fritter, and you can serve that alongside your breakfast, put a fried egg on top of it and put some hot sauce, and you've got a good piece of substitute toast, if you will, using your leftovers. And then last but not least, I'm going to make what I like to call a drop dumpling. So instead of making dumplings from scratch where you have to roll it out and cut them, and you've got different varieties, you could do like a chicken and dumpling style dumpling. This dumpling is going to be more matzo ball dumpling style. So we're going to just scoop our mix and drop it directly into our boiling soup, and it will be a nice little fluffy stuffing dumpling to go in your soup. But let's continue. First thing I want to show you is my mix here. I'm going to grab some gloves to make it easy for me to get all this mixed together. I've got 2 cups of leftover dressing, so I'm going to just crack my 2 eggs directly into my pan, and I'm going to mix it all together with my hands. I'm going to save some dishes that way. What I have over here on my stove top is some vegetable oil that I've already got heated up, so it will be hot and ready to go as soon as we are going to brown our the rest of our ingredients. And then, excuse me. And then I also have a pot of soup base over here that I started using some other things that you might have left over after Thanksgiving. Whoops. My little headphone keeps popping out. There we go. Okay. So, one more glove here. I really like to use my hands to do this. It's also a good opportunity to like get your kiddos involved in the kitchen, and they can just mush it around, and it's kind of messy and kind of fun all at the same time. All right, so I got my 2 eggs. I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of scramble them up in the corner just a little bit, and then I'm going to mix everything together. So the egg's just going to bind my mixture. So I tested this a couple times, and I really liked to combine both a cornbread base and a bread base dressing. So that's up to you, depending on the type that you like to use. I think my measurements are a little under right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of my dry stuffing mix and make sure that the texture is good and consistent. All right. So if you also, I don't know if you noticed this, so I'm actually using a stovetop stuffing mix to make these. So if you are interested and you don't actually have any leftover dressing, you can use a stovetop mix. Okay, I'm going to add just a little bit more to make sure my texture is good. You don't want it to be too wet, and you don't want it to be too dry. So just as if you were making pancake mix and it was too runny, you'd add a little bit more of the mix. Same thing I'm doing right here. There we go. So this is a better texture. Okay. All right. So this is my texture. It's pretty solid. It's going to hold together. Okay. So from this mix, we're going to make our 3 different types of fritters and dumplings. So the first one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 1 tablespoon to scoop out my fritters. So literally just going to take a little tablespoon, and I'm going to treat it like a meatball, and I'm just going to roll it in my hands like this. There we go. There's my little fritter. And so this is already completely seasoned because it's leftover from Thanksgiving. But also, if you're using your stovetop box of dry stuffing, it's already also seasoned, so you don't have to add any season to it. So I'm going to drop it in my hot pan. There we go. Okay, let me make just a couple more of these. Treat it like a meatball. All right, number 2. And then we'll do 1 more. And then we'll have enough room in our pan to make our patties. I don't have a waffle maker at home, but if you had a waffle maker, you could put this mix directly into your waffle maker and make a stuffing waffle. Okay, So we've got our little fritters over here in the hot oil, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make the patties. So I'm going to use my 1/3 cup measuring cup. So we got a decent size patty, okay? And then you're just going to pound it out like a hamburger size. There you go. The box, the stovetop stuffing box, has a recipe for like crab cakes using the stovetop stuffing as your mix. So you could easily do that with your leftovers as well. Here's a patty about the size of a burger. I'm going to add it to my hot oil and let it cook away. So the time for each of these things is going to be based on your stovetop and the temperature you're using. I am using right around the medium heat because my pan is not non-stick. So if you've got a non-stick pan, you can cook it up a little bit higher and just give them a good flip every couple of minutes. And you want to make sure all of the sides are brown. So for our little fritters, they're going to take a few extra flips because you've got several sides there. And then our patty, what I like to do to check its doneness is to just give it a good tap once it's been flipped to see if it's firm or if it's a little bit squishy in the middle. So we're going to let these go, and I'm going to check on them in just a minute. So let us go on to our soup base that I made. So I'm going to move my camera so you can see it. Let's see. How's that look? Perfect. Perfect. All right. It's a little far away from me, though. Let me slide it over here so I can access it. Perfect. Okay. So for our soup base, I use some vegetables that you might have left over from your Thanksgiving meal. So I've got a couple carrots, a couple pieces of celery rib, 1 onion, and just however much garlic you like. I probably use 5 cloves of garlic because that's one of my favorite ingredients. So all you do is you saute up your veggies. I like to do it for about 15 minutes because it helps to bring out the flavor of all of the veggies. If you were to just add them to the pot for a couple minutes and then add your broth, you're going to get the veggie flavor, but there's something about cooking the veggies in the oil on a lower temperature that brings out the flavor and infuses the oil, which then makes the whole dish delicious. So give your veggies a good saute for about 15 minutes, and then I use about 4 cups of broth. This is where another leftover could come into play. If you've got your turkey carcass, your bones, and your skin left over from Thanksgiving, you can make a stock out of that, and you can use that to make this dish. I did not have a turkey carcass, so I just used a broth base, and I used 4 cups of liquid. So once you add your liquid, I added some dried parsley. I added it to what I thought looked good. I didn't measure it. It's not necessary to measure your parsley. And then I added the lid, and I let it simmer for about 15 more minutes. Excuse me. My throat got a little bit dry there. Okay, so this is all nice and cooked down. So what I want to do now is just get my burner on here. Yep. And once it starts to bubble, we're going to drop our dumplings directly into the soup, and they're going to boil. So instead of treating them like a meatball and forming them like we did our other fritters, we don't want to do that, because if we do that, they become, as my dear friend Sarah here at the food bank says, they were a little bit stodgy in the middle if you compacted them before you put them in the soup. So if you treat them as a drop biscuit and just use your little measuring spoon to scoop and drop straight into the pot, they aren't going to be as firm in the middle, and it helps have a better texture. If you're a British baking show fan, you know that word very well. Stodgy. We don't want stodgy anything. All right, let's give these a flip and see. Oh my gosh, those are beautiful. Can we see those? You can see them a little bit. Okay, give this guy a flip. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to let those continue to cook on the opposite side. This is getting almost there. Almost back up to a simmer. So all I'm going to do for my drop biscuits is, it's not a biscuit, it's a dumpling. But I have drop biscuits on my mind. 1 tablespoon. I like to use a little spoon as my little scooper to drop it straight into the pot. And it doesn't have to be like perfectly in there. So, all right, it's almost there. Okay. And I'm going to drop it. That's 1. 2, 2, and 3. All right. So to cook that, I like to put the lid back on it. Your soup may not be deep enough for the whole dumpling to be submerged, and that's not a problem. That's where the lid comes in. That'll help it cook and kind of steam on the top while it simmers on the bottom. So that temperature is going to go up pretty fast once the lid is on it. So that's going to cook in about 4 minutes. If your soup is deep enough, your dumpling will actually float to the top when it's done. But I have not made it yet to where my soup is deep enough to see that. But I know that happens. Okay, last but not least, we're going to make our sweet and sour sauce out of leftover cranberries. So I'm that person that needs the cranberry sauce. I feel like it is the one thing that has a different flavor profile that ties everything together. So what we're going to do is make a sweet and sour sauce with the cranberry as the base. So if you like sweet chili sauce, this is very similar to sweet chili sauce. You can decide how much spice you want to add to your sauce. So I like a little bit of spice, so I might add a little bit more than you, but that is where you can make this to your own taste. So we're going to use about 2/3 cup leftover cranberry sauce. This is canned cranberry sauce. You can also use leftover cranberry sauce made from fresh cranberries if you would like to. So we got our cranberry. I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of water. And then I'm going to add some sugar. So this is about 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then I've got about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder and a little bit of salt to balance it out. And then our red pepper flakes to add our spice. And you can also see them so it looks more like sweet chili sauce. And then last but not least, the sour part of the sweet and sour sauce is vinegar. So you can use any type of vinegar that you have, preferably one that's not on the sweet side. If you do use a sweeter vinegar, like a rice vinegar, you just need to use a little bit less sugar. But you can taste it to see how that works out for you. I'm using apple cider vinegar, which is not on the sweet side. Recipe calls for white vinegar, but like I said, you can use any type of vinegar that you have on hand. Okay, so I'm going to take my whisk here, and I'm just going to give it a good smash. And then once it's on the heat is going to help you to break up all the cranberry bits. Okay. You can also make that sauce in the microwave. So you just combine all the ingredients and put it in the microwave and do it for like a minute and then pull it out and give it a good whisk and then do it in 30 seconds after that, just to make sure everything gets dissolved. That's the reason you need the heat, is to make sure the sugar dissolves and the cranberry breaks up real easy. Okay, let's take a look at these fritters. I can smell them. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm sliding around here. There we go. Okay. These turned out so pretty. So good. Let's see. Okay. Can you see my pan? So I'm giving my patty a tap over here to see if it's firm, and it is nice and firm in the middle. I'm gonna go grab a paper towel to put our yumminess on top of. Since we are doing a little bit of pan frying today, we want to make sure we just like soak off whatever extra liquid or oil is soaked into our little treats here. Okay. I honestly want to eat this like a burger. That looks so good. Okay. And these are also done. Yum. Beautiful and brown and flavorful. They're soft on the inside and crispy on the outside. Okay. Cranberry sauce is bubbling. There we go. Can we see it? Yeah, we can see it. I like to move my pan to the side like this and give it a really hard whisk like to the side, and that helps break it up. Maybe I should turn this oil off. There we go. That just helps break up all the bigger pieces. So the recipe, this sauce you can use like as a stir fry sauce. So the recipe card says that you can use cornstarch to thicken it up. For this way that we're going to serve it, it doesn't really need to be thickened up too much. So if you want it to be thicker, you can definitely add a little cornstarch slurry, but not necessary here. Yes, so all of my chunks are all gone, and it looks like everything is heated through, and that is seriously how simple it is to make sweet and sour sauce with leftover cranberry. There we go. Okay, let me get a little serving bowl here. It's still simmering over here. All right. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at our dumplings over here in the soup. I didn't use a timer, so we're gonna just measure it with our heart. Yeah, so they get a little crumbly, and that is no big deal at all. So instead of using serving with noodles or rice, like if you're doing like a chicken noodle style, this is going to be your starch. So you can use your stuffing as your starch in your soup. If you had some leftover turkey, you could also add it to your pot here and have you some turkey dumpling soup. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. Okay, I need my ladle. Here we go to show you the soup. All right. I especially like these dumplings with the cornbread style dressing, but that's definitely the kind that I grew up on. Curious to know if anyone has a preference over. That looks delicious. Cornbread or a regular bread based dressing. Okay, friends, here are our leftovers from Thanksgiving using our cranberry sauce with a sweet and sour sauce. We've got our turkey dumpling soup. Missing the turkey, you can also add some chicken here if you want to do that and round it all out. Ooh, side note, I actually at my house made this soup, but I added the leftover turkey gravy to the soup. So it added like extra meaty flavor without having the meat because I didn't have any turkey left. So also just boost the flavor of your soup by mixing it in. And then we've got our Beautiful, beautiful little fritters, and the inside is like a hush puppy. I really do love these. This is the same as your hush puppies, except it's in bigger format. You can serve like a fried egg over this and have some yummy breakfast with some hot sauce. Or, I don't know, anybody have any ideas on how they might eat that big fritter? Um, my main goal there was to eat it with a fried egg because that's one of my favorite breakfast foods. All right. Well, we are going to wrap it up here. We've got some good ideas for using our leftover dressing and our cranberry sauce. I hope you will enjoy these recipes at home and maybe take advantage of Giving Tuesday. If you're going to make any social posts about it, definitely use the hashtag Giving Tuesday. And we're going to say thanks once more to Metal Ticks for doubling all of the donations today. So thank you so much for joining, and hope to see you in the next couple of weeks for our next episode of Pantry to Plate. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays, whatever type of holiday you're celebrating, and we'll see you in the new year. Thanks, friends.